Welcome back to one more session. Today in this session I am going to explain about one of the essentials of valid contract, that is free consent. Those agreements or contracts that are made by a free consent of parties can be valid. So according to section 10 of the Indian Contract Act, one of the required condition to constitute a valid contract is that free consent. Section 13 of the Indian Contract Act defines consent as follows: two or more persons are said to consent when they are agree upon the same thing in the same sense. This is known as consens addendum. No contract can arise until the parties agree upon the same thing on the same sense. For example, A offered to sell Whirlpool at 20,000 per item. B accepted the offer and ordered for the purchase of 10 pieces of Whirlpool. However, when the consignment was opened, B discovered washing machines instead of not refrigerators. Since A believed that it was washing machine, that was the subject matter, no contract arises between them. This is due to the fact that consensus ad idem was not there. Whether there is a consent or not has to be proved as a fact in accordance with the principles of law of contract, and when it is proved to exist, its existence cannot be nullified by the application of any rule of criminal law. For conducting investigation and performance of medical operation, the consent of patient is must as a general rule. In case of a minor patient, consent of parents is needed. However, the said general rule is subjected to certain exceptions. In Arushi Dashaman versus Union of India, the Supreme Court held, barring a few exceptions as a general rule, the conduct of investigation and performance of medical operation on a person without his or consent is unlawful. In case of conjoined twins, parental consent is not forthcoming. But the first and foremost consideration of the court is welfare of the children. Thus, the consent of parents was held not be required in the case of conjoined minor twins. Section 14 of the Indian Contract Act deals or defines free consent. Consent is said to be free when it is not caused by coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, or mistake. Consent is said to be caused when it would not have been given but for the existence of such coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, or mistake. In Mangaldas Raghavji Ruprel versus State of Maharashtra, the Supreme Court held no doubt a contract comes into existence by the acceptance of a proposal made by one person to another by that other person. That other person is not bound to accept the proposal, but it may not necessarily follow that where that other person had no choice but to accept the proposal, the transaction would never amount to a contract. This is a brief with respect to the pre-consent. Thank you.